Hello, homeschool friends. Sabrina here from sevensistershomeschool.com. How's it going? If you are here and you're catching this live, it would be lots and lots of fun if you said hello. So please feel free to pop in with a comment, a question, a little wave, or whatever you would like. So I'm trying to get back in a rhythm of going live once a week and talking about things that keep coming up in our discussions on the Facebook group. We love our Facebook group. We love our seventh siblings. We love how you guys are sharing your journeys with one another, how you are sharing your questions, how you are sharing your answers and your ideas and your suggestions. It's just so cool. That was what sevensistershomeschool.com grew out of, was a group of us who were homeschooling locally in the same groups and connected with one another and decided to really link arms and share the journey. So yay for community, because it's the best. All right, 'tis the season to be jolly, always, but 'tis the season to be planning, right? So here we are. While I am live, this is the middle of June, nearing the end of June. And while my favorite time to dream about next homeschool year is in the winter doldrums, because that brings new life and excitement when things are feeling kind of like I'm plodding along, whatever. But the actual planning part then, for me and for a lot of us, typically comes in the summer. This is when you have to take the general ideas that you have for next year, the goals, the cool curriculum you found, whatever, and you have to turn it into an actual strategic plan. Because if you wait till the last minute, you cannot just open books and start on page 1 and jump in and think that things are going to flow the way you want them to. So we're going to talk a little bit about planning this morning. I love planning. I have far too many office supplies. I have far too many marble compositions. Homeschool planning means doing something that's going to work for you. There is not one right way to plan for next year in your homeschool, okay? So if you are an electronic planner person, if you love all the integrated apps and the calendars that you can share with other people in your family and all of that stuff, hey, rock on. That is fantastic. I tried that for a while and it just wasn't my personality. What's funny is I wanted it to be my personality. I got this idea in my head that it would be more efficient and effective to use digital planner stuff. And then when I tried to do it, I actually was a poor planner. Not because there was anything wrong with the tools, but because they weren't the right fit for me. I love paper and I love colors and I love pens and the way different pens feel in my hand, and I get ideas just from literally physically planning with paper and pen. So that was me. And you need to plan in a way that fits your personality and your homeschool. So don't get drawn into the, oh, this app is the way to do this. This app is one way to do this. Give it a try. If you don't like it, that's okay. All right, so find a planning style that works well for you. Find a planning rhythm that works well for you. I had friends who would go away by themselves for a mom's planning retreat thing and be gone for a night or two. And marathon planning, do it all in one big chunk. I was never really able to do that. My lifestyle just didn't fit with that very well. I think I would have enjoyed it. I tend to be kind of a marathon-y person. I like intensives and I like to set everything else aside. But I didn't have that opportunity. And so I had to find other ways. I had friends who were quite the opposite and who were stopping, like a hummingbird going from one spot to another, dropping a little note to themselves here and dropping a little note to themselves there, and getting an idea and jotting it in their phone or emailing it to themselves or whatever. And that didn't work for me because I didn't come up with very many good ideas while I was thinking about other things. Again, just not my wiring. So ask yourself if you want to use digital planner tools or if you want to use more traditional paper tools. Ask yourself if you want a really intensive approach, if you want to just grab thoughts as they come to you in the middle of other things, or if you want something somewhere in between. And you're going to maybe set aside an hour a couple of times a week for the period of one of the months of the summer. And for that hour, you're going to put your brain back in homeschool space for next year. Okay, what are our goals? What are we doing? And how do I want to move toward those with a good plan? So find the style of planning that works for you. Find the rhythm of planning that works for you. Next, find out what your goals are for next year. And you can't just pick them, you have to discover them. So when we just pick goals, we hear something that sounds good, or we have a piece of curriculum that says this, right? And we just plug it in and say, okay, so that's my goal. But as we go after those things, sometimes we find out things about our families, about our academic challenges, about our time availability, whatever, that surprise us. And now we have a goal that might not actually be realistic, even though it sounded good just in a vacuum over here. We might have a goal that is ridiculously non-challenging, and there's not any real learning or any real growth happening as a part of that. So you want to think of it in terms of discovering your goals for the year. And you're going to discover those in light of, first of all, in my opinion, prayer always comes before any of the rest of this. You're going to discover them in light of prayer. You're going to discover them in light of where you're coming from. What worked well last year? What was a real struggle last year? What happened last year that's never going to happen again? What almost happened last year that you're pretty sure is fully going to happen this year? Whether these are life circumstances like a move from one house to a new house, that's a big factor in homeschool. Other factors, things within a family, illness, discovering a new passion. The first time that a teen discovers that they're really good at something and they begin taking lessons, or they start working with a mentor, or they just really dig in a lot of hours, it affects everything else in the homeschool. So look at last year and see what you can learn from that. Where did you come from as you're coming into this new homeschool? And then where do you hope to be at the end of the homeschool year? Not what specific things do you want to check off on the way there, but where do you hope to be? For example, if you have been kind of struggling with math and you're a little bit behind, or it always feels like a catch up, or it always feels like pressure, and you're looking at this year, by the end of this school year, perhaps one of your goals is that you will have found a better rhythm for math learning, because it's a challenge, and you're going to have math all 4 years of high school. Do you see the difference? It's not just we want to be finished with our math book on time this year. It's we want to find a way to learn math that is going to make it possible for us to finish our book on time. Maybe that means a tutor. Maybe that means a co-op. Maybe it means an online class. Maybe it means a different shift in the literal time of day that you're doing math in your home. Maybe it needs to be earlier in the day or later. Maybe it needs to not be 5 days a week, but be with math learning by the end of the year. Those are the kind of goals I'm suggesting that you set for yourself. So where have you come from, and where do you hope to be? This leaves room for things other than academics. Goals that we want to set as far as character development, goals that we have for our kids with career exploration, part-time jobs, volunteering, travel. It's room for a lot of things if you're asking yourself, where do I hope we will be at the end of next school year? So if you've recognized where you've come from and where you hope to be, now comes the interesting, fun, exciting, and challenging part of connecting some dots. How might we get from where we ended up from last year with where we're hoping to go? And this is where I'm going to really encourage you to take advantage of community. Don't ask people what's the best way to use this piece of curriculum with a struggling writer or whatever. But instead, if you've chosen something that you want to use, you have a struggling writer, then say to people, what are some strategies that worked for your struggling writers? And gather ideas, but don't look for the answer. If you come up with various ideas and you note them in whatever format works well for you, and you have some thoughts as far as tutoring, as far as mentoring, as far as the power of a co-op setting, as far as bringing more creative writing into the early part of the year to free up your student from some of the pressure that they feel when they attempt research writing, or bringing in some really fundamental essay writing practice to help form the thinking skills that make essay writing successful. Lots of different ideas, different approaches, okay? Think of it in a sense as crowdsourcing. You're not looking for the way to do writing this year with your reluctant writer. You're talking to the crowd and getting some feel for some different ways that various families have found success. And when you grab those and you get them into a note, something that you can refer to later, you now can choose your favorite one and set that as a part of your plan for the beginning of the school year. But if you get to October and it's not working out, you don't have to go, oh no, this was our plan and it's not working out, because you have all of those other ideas from the crowdsourcing that you already did, right? So you're setting yourself up for success by having a number of ideas noted and somewhere in a part of your planning documents. All right, so let's see, let's recap where we've been. So you want a style of planning that works for you, digital or paper, whatever. You want a rhythm that works for you. Little bits here and there, an intensive, or maybe a series of set appointment times over the course of several weeks where you get to have a clear headspace. And then we're talking about goals, but not just very specific goals, like goals from the heart, goals that apply to life in your homeschool, not just your individual academic subjects. Look at where you've come from in the last year and look at where you hope to end up at the end of this coming year. And then crowdsource to get some ideas, different ways that you might be able to go after those goals. Then when it comes to actually strategically mapping out your year, syllabus is a beautiful thing. If you don't know how to create a syllabus for a course, that's okay. Every single one of us at some point created our syllabus for the first time. So it's okay if it's the first time that you're creating a syllabus and you don't feel super confident. Go to sevensistershomeschool.com, go to the blog, and in the search field type syllabus. And you will find posts on how to write a syllabus. You will find all sorts of free syllabi that accompany Seven Sisters curriculum titles, and you can download the syllabus for free and you can just learn from it by looking at how we structured one. You'll learn tips for creating one for whatever you're working with. So even if you're not going to use a Seven Sisters title this year, downloading a free syllabus can be a helpful thing in learning how to create a syllabus. Beauty of a syllabus is it keeps parent on track and it keeps student on track. And it allows for student to be held accountable without it being this, headbutting between parent and student. If you've set the syllabus from the beginning of the year and the student has seen it from the beginning of the year, the student now knows what the work is that's required and what are the deadlines. And so now when it's, are you keeping up with your literature? And student says, I'm doing okay. Well, let's look at the syllabus because this is where we should be. Are you there? If you're not, then even if you feel like you're keeping up okay, this is not what we agreed upon, right? So the syllabus becomes the bad guy. The syllabus is the one that is requiring your student to stay accountable. And you get to be more of like their teammate. You know, it's you and me against this big challenge to get these books read and analyzed and projects or writing out of them or whatever it is that we've chosen to do. And it's not just that I'm being mean and saying you need to be reading more. It's that this syllabus is in place for those mile markers along the way. And if we're not at that mile marker, it doesn't mean that the world has ended. It doesn't mean that, you know, the year is a complete loss. It just means we're not on track. Let's deal with that right now. The syllabus provides an objective way of measuring your progress. All right. So creating a syllabus for each of your courses, super important, but also don't think only in terms of course by course by course. Think in terms of the family calendar on the fridge. Think in terms of the big stuff. When are you traveling? When do you want to be off for holidays? How long do you want to be off for the holidays? Do you have a kid who's likely to need some catch-up days? blocked in there because you have a fairly loosey-goosey, free-flowing lifestyle, and so sometimes school just gets set aside for a day because there's a great opportunity for life learning, and you jump at it, but maybe that puts you behind on grammar or math or science, whatever. If so, then plan those catch-up days from the beginning. Don't just expect yourself to be able to adhere to a more rigid structure and then get to November and say, oh no, we're like 2 weeks behind. Where if a couple times a month you had a catch-up day actually built into your plan, you wouldn't have that clutch feeling, you know? And you don't have to take advantage of it. If you get to a catch-up day and you don't need to catch up, go do something fun, or just keep plugging. And now you're a day ahead on everything, right? So plan for those catch-up days if you're likely to need them. Plan for big things like college visits and SATs or ACT, any kind of testing stuff, or interviews and jobs that your teen may be starting for the first time and having to learn how to manage a part-time work schedule while still being in school. Those kinds of things, they deserve a place essentially on your big S syllabus. It's like capital S syllabus and then lowercase s syllabus for each class. But you sort of want a capital S syllabus for your whole homeschool. That includes lots and lots of things. Now, you do not have to be able to predict everything that's going to happen. But this is the beauty of look at where you're coming from. What did the last year teach you about your family's homeschooling? And with those things in mind, look toward next year. So I hope this hasn't been too vague and abstract. I know some of you are much more literal and concrete than I am, and you probably are so much better at detail-oriented jobs than I am because I lose the details in the big picture. But if we plan only thinking about the details, which is how most of us feel like we have to, you buy a planner and oh my goodness, it's so beautifully laid out, it's so specific, and it feels like, okay, so my plan should come out of my brain that way into this planner somehow. And that's not really helpful at least for a lot of us. We need to take a giant step back and get that big picture more firmly in our minds. Where have we come from? Where do we want to end up? And what are some various strategies for getting there? And in light of what I know about my homeschool already, what are some things I might want to block into that? What are things that I need to give time and space to? Things that are going to help our year as a whole, not just this piece of curriculum to be finished on time. All right? Okay, let's see if I can do a quick recap. Do I remember what I talked about? So find a planning style that works for you. Find a planning rhythm that works for you. Think in terms of goals and what did I learn in the last year? Where am I hoping to end up by the end of the next year? Crowdsource to get some various ideas of how to attack it. How might you get there? So that if one way doesn't work out, you've already got a backup, plan B, plan C, plan D, just waiting for you. And then syllabus, a syllabus with a small s maybe for each academic subject, because that keeps your student on track with an objective measurement of their progress. And kind of a syllabus with a capital S for your homeschool as a whole. Factor in things like family time and travel and jobs and hobbies and interests and relationally driven things, as well as academically driven things. If you come at your planning with some of these things in your mind, you're setting yourself up for success next year. Even if life throws you curveballs, this kind of plan, it has flexibility in there so that you can move with the curveballs that life may throw your way. If you have wonderful ideas for planning, please share them with us. If you need further ideas for planning, please visit sevensistershomeschool.com. Search the blog for words like goals and 4-year plan. If you need help looking toward creating your first high school transcript, check out posts about creating transcripts. We have a wonderful authoritative guide to homeschool high school transcripts. We also have a piece of I was going to say curriculum. I guess it's kind of curriculum for homeschooling parents. But we have a title in the ebook store that helps you create your high school transcript, a transcript that captures the learning that your student has experienced. There we go. Rather than just checking boxes, checking things off, but a way to really capture all the learning that's taken place in high school. You can also find scheduling tools. Scheduling backwards is my favorite. I use that all the time in everything, pretty much always, and it has saved my bacon more than once. If you're not familiar with what scheduling backwards is, it's like a $2.99 download, something like that. It's a guide to help you understand how to schedule with your actual goal in mind rather than just with a checkboxy approach. So that can be helpful. There are probably other things there too. Just search for planning or goals, and you will find lots of advice from your homeschooling big sisters, because that's what we are at sevensistershomeschool.com. 6 of us, veteran homeschool mamas, and we are excited to be able to pour into and equip and empower your homeschool adventures. Now that our kids have graduated, if yours are still in it, we want to be a help and an encouragement to you. And we encourage you to help and encourage others as well. So thanks for being our 7th sibling. We love having lots and lots of homeschool siblings. And I hope the rest of your week is a wonderful one. See ya.